This week on Movies Baby, we just hit the 90-day mark of Trump's second term in office, which traditionally is a good time to take stock of the administration and its effect on the country. And specifically, we're going to look at Trump's relationship with Hollywood, which not surprisingly has been defined by money, money, money. And I know there are a lot of headlines to keep track of when Trump is president. It's just like that never-ending car crash in Godard's weekend. It's hard to know where it starts, where it ends. It's just American carnage as far as the eye can see. But there is one developing story that I don't think is getting enough attention. I want to shed some light on it because it is, like all things in Trump world, just mind-bogglingly crazy and corrupt. So here's what I'm talking about. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, started suing media conglomerates and media companies a couple years ago. And we know Trump, this is always a tactic for him to threaten lawsuits, but he often doesn't follow through. But when it comes to these media companies, he and his lawyers must smell an opportunity. They must smell a little extra blood in the water because he has made good on these lawsuits against media companies. Starting in 2023, he sued Simon & Schuster, the book publisher, over something having to do with Bob Woodward's Trump tapes book and the way the audio recordings were handled or used. I mean, they're audio recordings, but he said they weren't like used properly or something. So they sued Simon & Schuster. And then they also last year sued the Des Moines Register. The poor little Des Moines Register got sued by Trump because of some opinion poll they published before the election that showed Kamala in the lead. And then Trump won in Iowa. And so they were like, you know, this opinion poll must have been faked or something. And Des Moines like, no, it's not. But they sued the Des Moines Register. But those two were just a warm up because now starting end of last year, he started going after major media companies. Last year, Trump sued ABC News, which is owned by Disney, so essentially suing Disney, and he sued CBS News, which is owned by Paramount. And he's not just suing ABC and CBS, he is walking away with massive settlements, upwards of tens of millions of dollars that he's getting paid from major media conglomerates, major Hollywood studios. So let's start with the ABC one. Last December, ABC News settled Trump's lawsuit against them for $15 million. $15 million. And again, this is why I think we should be talking more about this, because Disney wrote Trump a check for $15 million off of this lawsuit. And what was the lawsuit about? Well, it was because George Stephanopoulos said that Trump was found liable for rape in the Jean Carroll case, and Trump said, no, I was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation, giving my $15 million. So because Stephanopoulos said, and look, I'm obviously disgusted by Trump, I'm also like, Stephanopoulos, can you fucking copy? Can you check your fucking copy? Like, you know this guy is litigious. Can you just check your fucking copy? So because Stephanopoulos said rape instead of sexual abuse, and also, can you imagine, like, setting up a lawsuit, the premise of which is that you committed sexual abuse, not rape?
I can't.
Yes, if you're Trump, I guess.
Trump,
yes.
I guess you could.
Yes. So he walked away with $15 million from that. And as a result, Trump said publicly that he now feels he has to sue other news outlets because, as he points it, they are very corrupt and they need to be brought to task. But what is actually going on is that Trump has found a money-making opportunity, baby. Sue the media companies, and then you settle for tens of millions and everyone walks away, because there's two precedents being established here. One, Trump has found a new way to make money. But two, and this is the one I kind of want to dig into, is the less obvious one, is has Hollywood found a new way to launder money? And specifically, has Hollywood found a way to donate money to Trump, to curry favor with Trump through these like fraud sham lawsuits? Because, you know, I mean, $15 million, you know, maybe it's not a lot to Disney at the end of the day. That's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of fucking money, $15 million in a time when, you know, movie companies, movie studios, media conglomerates are looking at every possible way they can squeeze.
All we talk about every week is looking at the box office and going, oh my God, that made 15. That's good. Thank God. 15 million opening weekend.
Exactly.
Exactly. Every weekend.
So that was a good opening weekend that they just handed over to Trump. So I want to look at the CBS lawsuit now, because this is the one that is in process, and this is the one where there are so many conflicts of interest, it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. So Trump filed a $10 billion lawsuit, which he later upped to $20 billion $20 billion against CBS, and the reason is because he alleges that the network deceptively edited an interview with Kamala Harris to tip the scales in favor of her for the election. CBS aired 2 versions of a Harris interview in which she appears to give different answers to the same question about the Israel-Hamas war, and so they're saying that CBS was deceptively editing an interview with Kamala Harris to help her case. Okay?
That's true.
And then after suing them, he also then posted on Truth Social that CBS should lose their license because of another 60 Minutes segment
insane.
that was critical of him.
Right.
And so he is going hard against CBS. Now, CBS is owned by Paramount, right? And Paramount, as you probably know, is in the middle of this never-ending sale from the Redstone family to David Ellison's production company Skydance. And David Ellison is the son of Oracle billionaire Larry Ellison, and the plan is that David will take over this new version of Paramount after the sale merger goes through. Now, one of the sticking points in this sale right now, the reason the sale is not going through, the reason why it's delayed and held up, is because of this Trump lawsuit. Because David Ellison doesn't want to inherit a $20 billion lawsuit from the president of the United States after this sale. CBS wants to just get it off they just want it, or the Redstone family wants to hand it over to him as soon as possible. So the Trump lawsuit is literally the reason this Paramount, one of the main reasons this Paramount sale is being held up. So it's not too hard to connect the dots here and see how this is all going to play out. David Ellison needs Trump's support to approve the sale of the Paramount deal, right? It also needs federal support. David Ellison also wants influence in the Trump White House like any of these other media moguls. He, in his case, an aspiring media mogul. He sees that Bezos and Zuckerberg and the heads of the studios and everybody else has all fallen in line, and they're now all in love with Trump. And so Ellison says, well, I need to be in love with Trump as well. I need to show my support. So we have a guy who needs Trump to okay this deal, this merger, and also wants to curry favor with Trump. And Trump, for his part, just wants as much money as he can get out of all of this. So it sounds like a match made in payoff heaven. And if you don't believe me, if you think I'm being a little conspiratorial about all of this, Carson, can you show this?
Not even close.
Right? So can you, and just to seal the deal, let's see this photo from a recent UFC fight. This was the UFC 314 fight in Miami. So this is like courtside, whatever, ringside, I don't know what they call it, octagon side seats here. Now we have Trump there in the immediate foreground. We've got Elon and his android son sitting on his lap there. The guy who you can't see is Ari Emanuel, who owns the company that owns UFC. You got RFK and Cheryl Hines in the background. They don't get a seat. Ted Cruz doesn't get a seat. But who gets the final seat in the front row? That man at the very end there with the black T-shirt and the jacket, that is David Ellison himself right there. So David Ellison, the guy who is buying the company being sued by Trump for $20 billion and who needs Trump's approval for this deal to go through, is sitting ringside. And not just sitting ringside, there was reports that they were chatting and talking, and he was hanging out with all the MAGA guys afterwards. So
yeah, bro.
Here is my prediction, Joe. And thank you for hanging with me for this long tale of conspiracy and graft and corruption.
Go on.
Here's my prediction. The deadline to approve the Paramount deal just got extended to July 6th. Okay?
Okay.
So May, June, July. So we're basically roughly 3 months away, 90 days away.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's what I think is going to happen in the next 90 days. All right? I think CBS, like ABC, settles this Trump lawsuit for a lot of money. I think they pay Trump a lot of money. And then I think shortly after that, the Paramount deal goes through. And if that's not fucking illegal, I don't know what is. That is just like old school graft, old school political bribery and cronyism at work. That is like Gilded Age shit. That is insane. But mark my words, it's going to happen in the next 90 days, and it will not get widely reported on because there's 100 other fucking, cause celebs going on that we all have to sort of, pay attention to and so on and so forth. But that's going to happen in the next 90 days, and it's fucking crazy.
This is Trump's MO, man. Tribute. Whether you're a university or a law firm or a Hollywood studio, you got to pay tribute. Now, some of the tech companies got tribute out of the way early.
Yes.
Laura Sanchez and Jeff Bezos went to Mar-a-Lago so that they could personally get pitched by Brett Ratner and Melania Trump, the Melania documentary that Amazon bought for $40 million. $40 million. Netflix, whatever, is going to pay $20. So that's tribute. stuff like that.
They didn't even wait to get sued. They said, you don't have to sue us. We'll just figure out the graft. We'll do a Melania documentary for Melania documentary. What documentary costs $40 million?
The media,
I've never heard of that.
The media cozies up to politicians and administrations, but Brett is right that this is just very brazen and very personal, and it's very clear. Like you do know how to get what you want.
Yep. Well, because there's a report now that a Warner Brothers exec was kind of sniffing around the White House and was asking aides basically like, what does Warner Brothers have to do to like get in on this party? Like, what do we have to do to curry favor? So don't be surprised if we get like a Don Jr. like wilderness survival show on Discovery. Is that really happening?
I told you about that on Friday. Yes.
I thought you were joking.
No. I
was stealing your joke brazenly. I didn't even realize it. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
We talk a lot. I
don't know. That's what I heard too. Is that Max is flirting with a hunting documentary series
real?
with Don Jr.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's yes.
So here's what's happening. A formula has been established whereby Trump makes money and Hollywood studios curry favor, and it's just fucking old school political bribery, and it's insane. And it's all going to happen right under our noses, right in plain sight. But there's just too much going on to do anything about it. But that's what's happening. Pay attention, people. Keep an eye on this CBS lawsuit, and keep an eye on the Paramount sale. The two things are connected, and they're gonna be like dominoes falling one after the other. Just watch in the next 90 days.